Hey everybody, I'm here. It's Thursday finally. So glad this week is almost over. It's almost the end of the first week of Black History Month. So, as I've mentioned a couple of times, I'm not about the rah ha ha, everything's black this month, and then the next month it's back to basics. I'm going to share some history with you again today. It's about the history of Black people. Today I'm focusing on Jamaican Black people in Canada. And before I get started, I just want to say a lot of Canadians travel to Jamaica all the time for their vacation. Some people win all exclusive, all inclusive trips to Jamaica and some contest. Some people travel to Jamaica to get married. It's the ideal honeymoon spot. But they go, they have a good time, come back looking like Bo Derek or what have you. Some come back with Rasta wigs, and you know what I mean, right? So I'll dare not go any further. However, what's it like for Jamaicans coming to Canada? First of all, I'm going to share my screen and show you the history, and I wouldn't even classify it as history, how Jamaicans are seen in Canada. So just give me a minute. I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you exactly how it is for Jamaicans in Canada. Black people on the whole, but today it's all about the yardie them. You don't know. Just give me a minute. All right, here we go. So I'm going to come here first, boom up the screen, and let's go.
To Pearson Airport next, a CTV News exclusive video of a takedown within the secure area of the airport.
CTV's John Woodward reports a baggage handler caught in the act of moving a bag of cocaine decided to run. A baggage handler discovered by officers hiding in a luggage cart at Pearson International Airport, and then a takedown on the tarmac.
It's somebody who's obviously in a state of panic. They want to hide. There's not a lot of places to hide on the apron of an airport.
Pearson's surveillance video obtained by CTV News shows the baggage handler, Nigel Welsh, starting his day like any other, passing into Pearson's secure area. According to evidence presented to Superior Court in Brampton, he unloaded luggage from this plane arriving from Jamaica in 2021, but stuck around. Security video shows him leaving the plane after everyone else is gone with a backpack. The court heard a mechanic saw him and called his manager, and soon a chase was on. Other security video shows Welsh and the mechanic running through the airport tunnels. Welsh drops the bag and disappears. Police and CBSA officers found cell phones, 9 bricks of cocaine, and 1 pouch of marijuana, worth about $1 million altogether. Officers started searching all of Terminal 3, and as they are going through luggage carts, that's where they spot him. He jumps out and runs again before being tackled by, well, everyone. In court, Welsh maintained he wasn't the man carrying the bag, and the only reason that he was hiding in the luggage carts was because he'd lost his airport ID. Prosecutors pointed out the phone they found with that bag had accounts with his email address.
So I played that video because that came across the news. Let me tell you what date. Yeah, 22 hours ago. So in 2 more hours, it'll be a full day since they broadcasted that whole scene on mainstream media here, CTV News, you know. Now, this incident took place in 2021, but in 2023, finally, everyone got to see how Jamaicans who are not engaged in importing narcotica into the country, the abuse, the ill treatment, the deplorable living conditions that migrant workers from Jamaica have to face. Now, we heard reports there was some media attention, but they didn't show us in detail on video and give us a warning that it's a dramatic video to highlight how Canada treats Black Jamaican migrant workers. Now, before I press play on that next video, I want to tell you that there is no record of any Southern Asian immigrating to Canada as a migrant or foreign worker that has resulted that they are passed away or subjected to deplorable living conditions or being treated as a modern day slave in Canada. If there is, we would see dramatized videos on CTV the same way that we saw that dramatized video about the Jamaican airport worker. So we can't really say, well, it's history. In a sense, I'm going to flip it. I'm showing you history of how Jamaican migrant workers are and have been treated, and the lack of mainstream media spotlight, where they go as far as playing out the whole dramatized incident. So I'm going to share my screen again, okay? Check this out.
Jamaican agricultural workers have penned an open letter comparing working conditions on Canadian farms to, quote, systemic slavery. This letter happening at the same time as the death of Garbin Yap, a 57-year-old Jamaican farm worker. Joining us this morning for more is Syed Hassan. He's the Executive Director of Migrant Workers Alliance for Change. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being with us. According to your organization, 3 temporary workers have died in this last week alone. Where did you find that number? Where are you hearing that number?
We are a membership-based organization, so we have farm worker members across the country. And so we receive very regular updates about the conditions on the farm. So these are people who we know. These are people who our members know. So, it's very easy for us to know who's dying, unfortunately. And these are 3 in the last week. And there have been dozens more who have been abused, who have died, who've been deported, who've fallen sick, who've been injured, not just in the farm worker program, but many other migrants across the country.
What are the conditions that are being reported to you?
So just very recently, migrant farm workers released a letter in which they, from 2 farms, Kaiween's farms and Toledo farms in Ontario, in advance of the Minister of Labour visiting. And in it, they talk about how they are facing physical and verbal abuse for not working fast enough. They say they're being treated like mules. They're living with pesticides. Rats are eating their food. They talk about how they feel like they are in prison. And having talked to other co-workers of theirs in the organization and across the country, they say the seasonal agricultural workers program is systematic slavery and exploitation at a seismic level. All of these are direct quotes from farm workers themselves. And they are calling for significant changes.
And they sent that letter in part to the Minister of Labour for Jamaica, who is making a tour of farms this week. You are calling on the federal government to give temporary foreign workers permanent residency status and to do it immediately. How will this improve the situation?
So I think it's important to have some context. In the year 2000, there were 60,000 work permits issued in Canada. In the year 2021, there were 1.2 million temporary permits, both work permits and study permits issued, right? We have turned into a system of temporary work and temporary immigration status. And when you have temporary immigration status, you can't protect yourself. You can't stand up for your rights, because when you try to assert your rights, you can be deported, you can be made homeless, you may not be able to work. And so permanent resident status is the mechanism through which all other rights are accessed. So we're calling on the federal government to give permanent resident status to every migrant in the country. A fair society is one with equal rights, and equal rights are only possible if everyone has the same permanent resident status.
All right, speaking of the federal government, we did reach out to Carla Qualtrough. She's the Minister of Employment, Workforce Development, and Disability Inclusion. For a statement, this was the response, and then I'll get your response. The mistreatment or abuse of temporary foreign workers is unacceptable. The experiences detailed in this letter are disturbing, inhumane, and in violation of the regulations of the program. ESDC officials are in communication with the provincial government, who oversees investigations into these workplace complaints on the matter. I'd like to know your thoughts on this response.
We have a system where, look, if you have your boss mistreat you, if your boss steals your wages, if you are abused, you have the option of getting up and walking away, of getting another job, of fighting back, right? We have a complaints-driven process, so it's about power. If you can assert your power, then you can actually access your rights. So this question of whether this is included or not included in provincial labor laws is actually irrelevant. The question is, do those individual people have the ability to protect themselves? And they don't, because if they speak up, they can be made homeless, they can be kicked out of the country, they may not be able to come back in the future. So in such a condition, how is someone supposed to assert their rights? And this is not a provincial, look, in the provincial labor system in Ontario, basic labor rights, minimum wage, overtime, hours of work.
So I just wanted to show you the comparison in what the media will put heavy emphasis on. Jamaican airport worker caught smuggling in narcotica, or they'll show you everything. When it comes on to mistreating the Jamaican migrant workers on these farms here in Canada, Ontario in particular, we're not seeing big heavy duty spotlight on this. Now, two things bothered me about the last video I shared with you. I'm not seeing any Black Jamaicans advocating for their people the way that gentleman was advocating. And that's another part of our history and what's going on up here in the North, you know. We fail to rally and unite and demand change. Another thing, when it comes why they deemed it so systemic is because, just like in slavery days, what happened if slaves complained? They got whipped or sold or killed. In Canada, well, they can't whip them, but they can overwork them, not pay them, and then deport them if they dare open their mouth and let out and let expose what their masters are doing on those Canadian plantations. So you see, the media, society, they are very more than happy to give you dramatized videos of Black people, and particularly Jamaicans, when they're breaking the law. But when the law is violating Jamaican people, for example, the migrant farm workers, we ain't gonna see them dramatized videos splashed across the news, you know? Big difference. And I wouldn't really put it in the category of history because it's happening currently, you know? So yeah, I just wanted to give you the history of what life is like for Black people, Black Canadians, Caribbeans, Africans. But today I'm just remembering back in 2023 when there was a lot of focus on the rapid succession of the Jamaican farm workers dying from being overworked, not being paid, living in deplorable conditions, and the lack of dramatized videos that made it to CTV and other mainstream media platforms in this country, you know? So when I want you to bear this in mind before I go, they make it seem as if slavery, inequality, and inequity is historical and a thing of the past. Well, it isn't, because it's happening now. And as for the Black community, I want to say that not much has changed in terms of uniting together to advocate, fight, and lobby for our rights, because no other ethnic group that has migrated here as foreign workers or migrant workers have died on the farms or any other place of work here. We just don't hear about other ethnic groups dying when they come here as migrant workers. And that truly needs to be studied. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Have a wonderful day.